is up, everybody, and welcome back to another read of The Demon Dentist. We have chapters 25 and 26 for you today. We left off with Alfie. He went to bed putting Raj's tooth under his pillow. We left off, he saw someone come into his room, and we are about to find out who this person was. Here we go. Chapter 25, Under the Pillow. "Ah!" shouted the figure before adding, "Please, please, please, don't hurt me!" It was the unmistakable voice of Raj. Alfie lit the candle by his bed with a match and brought it closer to the shadowy shape. It was the unmistakable face of Raj. The panic over, Alfie swallowed hard and croaked, "Raj, what on earth are you doing here?" "You frightened me!" exclaimed the newsagent. "You frightened me more," replied the boy. "Well, I think you frightened me more." "No, you actually frightened me more." No, you definitely 100% frightened me more," protested Raj, and no returns. There was little point in arguing with the man. The newsagent was well known for being frightened easily. Local gossip had it he once ran out of his shop screaming after he swore he saw one of his 2-pence jelly snakes moving. All right, conceded Alfie, "but I thought you were, the tooth snatcher." "I'm not," replied Raj. "My name is Raj, and I am your newsagent." Yes, I know who you are," said the boy, exasperated now. "What are you doing here?" At that moment, what seemed like a huge gust of freezing cold air came in through the window. It blew the candle out. "It's dark in here," whimpered Raj. "It's okay, let me just find my matches." Alfie groped by his bedside table, which was really just an upturned milk crate, and lit the candle. Now his bedroom felt decidedly chilly, so he moved over to the window and closed it. Feeling more than a little spooked, he locked it too. "Well, I was just lying in my bed above the shop, and I couldn't help worrying about you, all alone waiting for this." Raj struggled to find the right word. Finally, he settled on thing. "Well, that's kind of you, Raj, but honestly, I was fine," lied Alfie. "It must be the middle of the night now, but there hasn't been absolutely any sign of anything." "And my tooth is still under your pillow?" "Oh, yes," said Alfie, moving over to the bed. "I put it here, look." But when the boy lifted the pillow, the tooth wasn't there. Something else was. Something horribly horrible, something dreadfully dreadful. An eyeball. The long, silky nerve at the back was still attached. It was flailing about as if it was a tail, making the eyeball twitch and wriggle on the mattress like a tadpole on dry land. "Ah!" screamed Raj. Alfie, who, as we know, thought of himself as being a tiny bit braver than the newsagent, screamed too. "Ah!" The boys screamed even louder. "It's an eyeball!" screamed Raj. "I know!" said Alfie. "But it's an actual eyeball!" "Yes, but let's try to stay calm," said the boy. "This is a clue." Alfie slowly and steadily brought the candle down to examine the eyeball. It was unusually large. It was the size of a ping-pong ball. The eyeball had to be from a large animal, or perhaps a giant. Here's our eyeball. Just then the eyeball turned and looked at him. "Ah!" screamed Alfie. "Ah!" screamed Raj. "It looked at me," sputtered the boy. "It looked right at me in the eye." Pump, pump, pump. Someone was banging on the wall. Raj screamed again and tried to leap into Alfie's arms. "That's my dad in the next room." "Oh, sorry," said the newsagent, trying to calm himself. His nerves were shot to pieces tonight. "I always slept into my mother's arms when I saw a mouse." "Well, you're too heavy now." "I know. Mother told me that when I tried to do it last week." Alfie looked at the newsagent, utterly incredulous. Pump, pump, pump. Dad was banging on the wall again. Son, are you all right?" He coughed and sputtered from the next room. "Just coming, Dad." Alfie rushed out of his room and down the corridor to his father's bedroom, the petrified newsagent trailing close behind. "Raj!" asked Dad, really quite bemused. "Oh, hello, Mr. Griffin," said Raj brightly, pretending that being in the man's bungalow in the dead of the night was perfectly normal. "Look, if it's about the newspaper, Bill, I was meaning to—" began Dad. Raj smiled. My friend, the newspaper bill has long been forgotten. So, what are you doing here? Asked Dad. Raj looked over at Alfie. Dad followed his gaze. Suddenly all eyes, well apart from the one in the room next door, were staring at him. Well, said Dad, I think it's about time you told me the truth, my lad. My lad was something Dad only called Alfie when he had done something wrong. Alfie knew that. He took a deep breath. It was finally time to tell his father the whole story. Chapter 26, Thick Brown Slime. Fantastical tales were Dad's specialty. However, this one he struggled to believe. With some prompting from Raj, Alfie told his dad the whole story. The dentist's visit to the school, the special mummy's toothpaste that burned through stone, the tooth snatching happening every night, being chased by the entire town, and finally having all his teeth taken out. Dad's disbelief turned to anger when Alfie took out the false tooth and held him up to the candlelight. Dad? Oops. When I get my hands on that dentist, shouted Dad, before he plunged into a coughing and sputtering fit. Holding his dad, Alfie declared, This is why I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to upset you. Alfie's father looked deep into his son's eyes. I am more upset you didn't tell me, son. We're a team, aren't we? You and me? Alfie nodded. He was afraid his voice would crack with emotion if he spoke. You're my pup. My little pup, and I would do anything for my little pup. I would die for you, if I had to. A tear welled in Alfie's eye. Even Raj was bubbling, and had a big old blow of his nose on his sleeve. Soon the parrot helped Dad into his chair. He was wheeling himself into the next room to inspect the final, most gruesome piece of the puzzle. The eyeball. Thankfully, by now it stopped twitching and wriggling. However, it had left a trail of thick brown slime all over the sheet where it had traveled. The three faces peered in to inspect it by candlelight. The strangest thing is, began Alfie, I swear I was awake all night, so how could the tooth have been switched without me even knowing? Dad thought long and hard before replying. You must have nodded off at some point, son. No, said the boy. Alfie was absolutely sure. I didn't, and I kept checking under the pillow all night. In fact, I checked just before Raj came in and it was still there. You shut the window behind me, added Raj. Just after that freezing gust of wind, Alfie thought aloud. Yes, agreed Raj. He inspected the window. And look, it's still locked. Then all three fell deadly silent. Out of the gloom, Dad whispered, Then whoever or whatever did this must still be in the bungalow. None of them moved a muscle. In fact, it could still be in this room. 3 sets of eyes started around the dark. If this was true, where could it be hiding? The room was cramped. There were only a couple of pieces of furniture. It was not ideal for a game of hide and seek. With his eyes, Dad indicated the old wooden wardrobe standing in the corner of the room. Alfie started to tiptoe over to it holding the candle. His body weight landed on the loose floorboard and it creaked loudly. Dad put his fingers up to his lips and Alfie rebalanced his weight quickly. With 2 more silent steps, he had his hand on the wardrobe door. Dan nodded his head gently to indicate that his son should open it. The suspense was too much for Raj, who was already cowering behind Dad's wheelchair and had now closed his eyes. The boy pulled the handle sharply. Something flew toward him. His anorak. The sleeve must have been caught in the door. After taking a breath, Alfie pushed his few items of clothing aside, but there was nothing evil-looking in the cupboard, aside from an old, unwashed football sock. That is, it had been lying there so long it now had yellow and green mold growing on it. Throughout, Raj's eyes remained tightly shut, his face grimacing in fear. Dad tugged at the newsagent's arm, and it startled him like a wild horse, leaping into the air with his whole body contorted and frightened. Just Dad, and with his eyes he pointed to the bed. Raj pointed himself and assumed his expression which said, Me? Dad nodded, with an expression which said, Yes, you. The newsagent shook his head. He put his hands together in prayer, begging Dad for not to have it be him. Alfie rolled his eyes. He stepped forward and gently pushed the cowardly newsagent aside. Pulling up the sheet, Alfie bent down with the candle in his hand to look underneath the bed. It was dark under there, and even with the candlelight, he squinted as he tried to make anything out of the shadows. Like most boys, Alfie never bothered to clean under his bed, so there were long-forgotten pieces of Lego and a pair of dirty old underpants loitering there. All looked ghostly gray, smothered in a thick covering of dust. Alfie sighed. Again, there seemed to be nothing evil hiding there. Then, under the bed, out of the darkness, 2 eyes opened and fixed the boy with a deathly black stare. "Ah!" cried Alfie. The owner of those eyes then blew Alfie's candle out. Now the room was all but pitch black. A shadowy figure rose from under the bed. Without stopping to unlock the window, it flew straight through it with a deafening roar. It moved at such speed that shards of smashed glass exploded all over the room. Alfie hurried to the window frame. He needed to catch a glimpse of whatever or whoever had been hiding under his bed. The boy looked out of the dark night. Something rocketed down from the road and then soared up into the sky, higher and higher until it rose. It flew through the clouds. Soon that was all left behind was a trail of black smoke. Alfie closed his eyes again. Surely they were deceiving him. Opening his eyes again, he saw what the trail was still there. This was no nightmare. This was real. Alfie had no option. He had to believe. And this is where we'll stop for today. Stay tuned for chapters 27 and 28.